He adores his wife, but they have not been intimate in 6 years.
Ooh.
I think that's the reaction that a majority of people are having.
That was
tame, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, right? So listen, we felt the need to call in the professionals on this one. So we have Andrea Burkly on with us of the Honest Women podcast. She does this podcast with her co-host, Jessica Hutchison. It is on the Pioneer Network, which is owned by Bert. So Andrea, thanks so much for joining us for Free Therapy Thursday today.
You are so welcome. I'm so happy to be here. And I know why you called me in.
Yeah.
It's because this is hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? We all have feelings about intimacy, and none of us were taught how to speak about them at all. So here's what happened. I have a little bit of additional information beyond what you just shared. So this couple had 3 children in 5 years. And every time that you have a child, intimacy is off the table for some certain period of time because a woman's body has gone through so many changes, right? How it looks on the outside is different. How it feels on the inside hormonally is different. And she's probably using her body to sustain the life of a tiny human who is attached to her many hours of the day. And so it's just very common for intimacy to be off the table. And that's normal and it's natural and okay. The problem is, and the trap that most couples that I work with fall into, is that when piano playing is off the table, all affection goes away too. And so what happens is you don't touch your wife because you want to respect her, but also because you've likely been rejected. And it's embarrassing and you're afraid to risk it, right? She doesn't touch you because she doesn't want to go there. And you end up living like roommates for, in this case, 6 years.
Wow.
So the specific details, this is a Bert Show listener. He says he's a 45-year-old man. His wife is also 45. They've been together for 18 years. Like Andrea said, they have 3 kids, which are 7, 9, and 14 now. And they've been facing challenges in their intimate relationship. It's been 6 years since they've been intimate together. He does attempt to initiate, but she just doesn't seem interested. They've always had a strong bond, and this lack of intimacy is very hard for him to navigate. And he believes their relationship is worth fighting for, which is why he reached out to us, which is why we reached out to you. But he's not sure how to address this topic without making her feel uncomfortable or defensive. Because like you said out the gate, Andrea, this is somewhat of, I don't know if you want to call it a taboo subject, but, you know, talking about intimate matters can be difficult conversations to have. So what advice would you give our Bert Show listener as to how to broach this conversation with his wife? Because it's obvious he loves her, but he has needs that just aren't being met.
Right. Well, first, I think culturally that we do people a big disservice by telling a story that men just want to play the piano. Like, whoever, wherever, whenever. When the truth is that when you're married and you love your spouse, you want to play the piano with them because you want to be close to them. This is really, really common in a relationship where one partner is more of the emotional pursuer. They want that closeness first, right? I want to feel close to you. I want to feel connected, and then we can play the piano. That's typically the female partner. The other partner is the physical pursuer. I want to play the piano with you so that I feel emotionally close to you. And so first, I just want to clarify that the reason that we want to have intimacy in a relationship, it's particular, it's about closeness, and you guys may be operating from that old script that, you know, you just want something from me because it feels good for you, right?
Is it good to initiate the conversation with like, I know this is uncomfortable, and like, how would you preface something like that if my husband was coming to me to be like, hey, we need to do it more?
Totally. Well, if you come at it with a negative thing, we haven't done this in so long. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
It's going to shut down the conversation right away. Look, she knows.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if she does not appear to have any desire, which we can come back to, she knows that you haven't been intimate in 6 years, and she has feelings about that. Even if she appears to not want to be intimate with you, it's embarrassing. People start to feel broken. We can have shame about that in our relationship. What I would do is I would say, I remember back in the time before we had kids, how close we were emotionally and physically, and how being affectionate was just so natural and normal. And I want to feel like that with you again, right? This is a poll. Oh, I remember how good it felt to be close to you, not a push. Why aren't you close to me, right?
Would you recommend couples therapy? Sorry to interrupt you, Andrea. Would you recommend couples therapy, like they do this with a mediator, or just, just having the conversation to start?
Yeah. Yes. And couples therapy can be great, but I will tell you, I just did an 8-hour training on sex therapy, and half of the day was spent just getting therapists to try not to feel awkward about bringing up this topic. Okay. All of us were marriage therapists. This is a cultural issue, right? So yes, a good therapist, maybe even particularly a sex therapist, could help you through these conversations, but you can start at home. And the way that I would do that is just first, let your wife know, this is pretty disarming. Intimacy like that, piano playing's off the table. We're not going to start there. Look, no one has touched the keys in 6 years. We're not going to play like a Mozart sonata, but we can start by being more affectionate. I want to start by looking at her when she walks in the room. Brush her back when you walk past her, but let her know, look, this is not going anywhere.
Gotcha.
Beyond the hug and the kiss and the things. Start creating desire in your relationship.
No, I appreciate that. And I think that's really solid advice, which is why we called you the professional.
Yes. Let me recommend one resource. I've got a book here. It's not mine. It's called Sex Talks. It's by a therapist named Vanessa Marin. And if you do want to do some of this like shoring up at home and you want to learn how to have a conversation about sex in your relationship, read this book. It's hilarious. It's disarming. It's so informative. Look, none of us learned how to do this. That's why it's so hard. But this book will help walk you through that.
Thank you, Andrea.
The Bert Show.